The unbearable whiteness of being in nursing. The unbearable whiteness of San Francisco. Yeah, you guys made Oakland.
Yeah.
The unbearable whiteness of being... That's it. If you separate the whiteness of the United States from the non-whiteness, we have the most educated people, the best schooling. We have some of the lowest crime rates. We have some of the highest life expectancy rates. We have the best medical interventions. If we separate it by your qualifier of unbearable, I go, I think it's kind of bearable. Here's the thing. This is going to be an installment of We're Saying the Same Thing. And I will tell you, I have migrated further to the right on this issue. Not really in any policy sense, but you can only be vilified for so long for an immutable characteristic, being white, where they use that as the attack method until you defend it and go like, well, hold on a second. It's like, it's not that, like, there's nothing that bad about being white. There's some good things about white. And then the left goes, well, what do you mean by whiteness, huh? Do you mean white pride? No, what do you mean by white? So let's start with how they try and flip it on you. You may have heard the media telling you while they attack you that there is no such thing as racism against whites.
There is a dangerous, once fringe conspiracy theory behind this grievance, known as Great Replacement Theory. In the simplest of terms, it's the idea that there is some master plan to diminish white power.
Yes.
Can you be racist towards white people?
I don't think you can be racist to white people. No.
White is not a race.
There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you were going to go and work.
Okay. Well, first off, we're getting very, very specific because nobody was dragged across the ocean. They were sold and put on a ship, and then they were sailed across the ocean.
Also, what's so wrong with getting a job?
I mean, it's weird. You can look at it that way.
Yeah.
She means something else, maybe.
Here's the other thing. So they say that doesn't exist, and I know there's a lot of fake news out there. So the research team here put in a lot of work to fact check this. You may have seen this graphic online of these headlines from legacy media. There's 280 headlines, basically on the theme of X is too white or white bad because. And I know there are a lot of graphics out there that are just fake. People will fabricate them. I can tell you that we've gone through over 100 of these, and they all check out.
Yeah, and not X the platform, like X insert here.
Right.
Is too white.
Yes.
That's also, Twitter's too white.
Yeah,
yes, well,
also
they'll say that
used to not be a problem with this, but now the name changed.
So here are just some of the ones that we've confirmed that we think are the most egregious. Go check the references. This one is really important. So you can see that these are real articles. So the person who put that together actually did some legwork, unlike a lot of folks on social media. Some of the worst headlines, or head scratchers, I guess, would include the problem with Vermont's whiteness.
Who wrote that? Bernie Sanders?
Yeah. Why oat milk is too white.
Well, come on.
And how one brand is determined to change that. Have we cured cancer yet?
No, but
have we cured cancer?
I guess.
No, we're not working on oat milk. Yeah. We've somehow managed to get milk from an oat.
You have to caress the oat nipples.
Yes, but now our primary grievance is like, well, we've managed to milk the unmilkable.
Right.
Oat.
Yes.
But it's like all other forms of milk, which is almost what we set out to do in milking it.
Yes.
It too is too white.
What are we going to do?
Confirmed. Problematic.
What are we going to do about that? Are we going to collard green milk? What are we going to
do? That means there are people in a lab with coats and beakers going through, how do I fix this milk from the oat?
Can you milk me? Nope, can't.
And then another one, Everest is too white. And it's time for that to change.
What? No.
Well, isn't in Nepal? Is Nepal?
Yeah. Well,
where Everest is?
I mean, do they mean the mountain cap is white? Because that's not. That's just a.
I think they mean the tourists that have frozen to death and stayed on the mountain.
Unfortunately, that last one. Here's the problem: is when you guilt people, there's a certain portion of the pop where it works, and that last one has created an entire subculture of self-loathing. You hate to see it. White climbers.
Doesn't matter about me, just cut it! We're running out of time here! Just cut it! Nobody's gonna blame you for it, just cut it, Peter! We're gonna die! Any of you are gonna die, just cut it, Peter! Please!
And it's... No, come on, Gerald. Gerald,
just rude.
Come on, Gerald.
Gerald, you're better than that.
Come on, man.
You're even more. It's even
was a
worse.
father.
Chris O'Donnell didn't deserve that. And you know what? The worst part is he shouldn't have been put in that situation. It's true. Because it wasn't the first time. It's even worse when you see what happened to poor Chris O'Donnell's parents. He just don't go climbing with Chris O'Donnell.
Avoid heights.
It's not supposed to be that funny.
Is there just a casting director who's like, we need someone to die falling from a tall place? We need Chris O'Donnell's reaction, see? He's the best at watching people die from ropes.
He didn't even audition for Vertical Limit.
No,
Watch the tape.
we saw your work in Batman Forever, kid. You were made for this role. You're gonna be a star. Bright lights. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Woo. And then there's a whole subcategory, going back to the actual point here, of articles that my team here was able to find along this theme of, and it's a constant theme, the unbearable whiteness of, and then insert basically completely inconsequential category here. So here's one. The unbearable whiteness of advocacy, which is weird because you kind of need the majority of the population to advocate for minority populations. But I guess you don't, that's kind of the whole sit down and shut up, but then silence is violence. There's the unbearable whiteness of being in nursing. The unbearable whiteness of San Francisco. Yeah, you guys made Oakland.
Yeah.
The unbearable whiteness of being, that's it.
Just being.
Of just being. The unbearable whiteness of being. And so it's time for, we're saying the same thing.
We're saying the same thing.
All saying the same thing.
I said the exact same thing.
And by the way, we're live, weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. You can always tune in live because this is one that kind of opens up to a discussion. Now, often they'll try and convince you that the conversation starts with someone like me saying, well, look, whiteness isn't bad. Whiteness is, as a matter of fact, there are some things about whiteness that are good. If you ever veer into that, they go, oh, so what do you mean whiteness good? Are you saying whiteness better? Huh? What do you mean by that? By the way, white isn't a race. Okay? I understand. I'm responding to you. What do you mean by the unbearable whiteness of being? You said whiteness, you little shit. Yeah. I am responding to you saying the whiteness of Vermont, the whiteness of oat milk, the unbearable whiteness of advocacy, the unbearable whiteness of being in nursing, the unbearable whiteness of being. The only qualifier that you are offering up as a negative is whiteness. Isn't it incumbent upon you to explain to me? You didn't just say, there's some pros and cons. You said that our immutable characteristic, whiteness, is unbearable.
You cannot bear it.
You cannot bear it.
You must do something to solve the problem.
So which part of whiteness is unbearable? All I'm saying is I don't think it's completely unbearable. For proof, see all the societies of largely white Europeans who brought us into modern civilization that allows you to create a Substack bitching about white people. Like, we treat our dogs well. We'll get to the dog market, meat market festival in Africa later. Like, that's kind of a notable white thing. I mean, this value that we place on technological advancement, on ingenuity, on subduing the earth. I would say that if you look at whiteness, since you say whiteness, if you separate the whiteness of the United States from the non-whiteness, we have the most educated people, the best schooling, we have some of the lowest crime rates, we have some of the highest life expectancy rates, we have the best medical interventions. If we separate it by your qualifier of unbearable, I go, I think it's kind of bearable.
I think it's definitely bearable, and everybody's benefiting from it. I understand that there was a white pride flight because it got taken too far, right?
Sure.
And it became associated with some very, very bad, terrible things in history. Fine. But every culture, every race, I've seen, who was the fighter that had brown pride tattooed on
Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez,
tried to shoot a pedophile, so he gets
man.
lifetime exemption from it.
He does get an exemption, but if every other race can go like, well, this immutable characteristic with zero productive results behind it I can be proud of that, then certainly white people can be proud of who they are as well. And like you said, the European, this has brought the modern world.
Yeah.
It didn't come from anywhere else.
Well, and it's true. Like, I understand the argument. Well, white isn't really like a monolith. You can have Irish, Italians, Germans. They're very different. Sure, I get it. You could say the same thing about Nigeria, people from Bermuda, Jamaica. I had a friend who was from Jamaica in Canada, said, don't call me African American. I'm Jamaican Canadian. I have no ties to Africa. So you can't apply this standard to one and not the other. And again, you're the one who said it's unbearable. Let me just change one thing. The problem with Detroit's blackness, why Coca-Cola is too black and one brand is determined to change it. The tar pits are too black, and it's time to change that. Let me just go to the unbearable blackness of complaining, the unbearable blackness of being in nursing, the unbearable blackness of Oakland, the unbearable blackness of being. And by the way, that would be a terrible thing to say. It would be a horrible sweeping generalization. But there are some negatives to black American culture that we can acknowledge. Hopefully crime statistics aren't still considered racist on YouTube and a bannable offense. But there are also some good things that I like about the culture. I certainly wouldn't say that blackness in and of itself is unbearable. I'd say World Star is unbearable.
There you go.
But you said whiteness, carte blanche, full stop, unbearable. Okay, explain to me why. How it is not racism, how the phrase, the unbearable whiteness of being, even just really bad, why Vermont is too white. That's saying you need to change it. There are too many white people. They are a problem. That is what your article is specifying. How do you change it? How do you do any of this with any method other than unbridled racism? What would you do? Like with the oat milk. By the way, we have milk from oats.
I still can't believe that.
You need to look at it, go, okay, we have a problem. This milk is too white coming from the oat. So we need to, in a lab, artificially create another milk that we convince people is healthier than just drinking whole cow's milk or goat's milk. And we need to somehow find a way to eliminate the whiteness. You would have to target the whiteness of the milk. You'd have to do the same thing with the state of Vermont. You would have to target the whiteness, which is the problem that is unbearable, and get rid of the problem, meaning get rid of white people. There is no solution other than serious racism, serious violations of basic human rights, the kinds of violations that I would never support for any member of any other race. We acknowledge, hey, crime statistics are a reality. As far as the likelihood of being murdered, as far as the likelihood of being mugged in the United States, it's going to be a black American more times than not, especially if you're Asian. We know that. But we're dealing with an issue that we can identify that seems to be pervasive in a culture, fatherless households. Okay, You are saying whiteness is bad. Which one is more racist? Because one is deemed impermissible and one, over 200 headlines. It's a cottage industry. Do you have an idea of the crap that we had to read going through to fact check that these headlines were, they're real. There may be a couple in there that may no longer exist, but well over 100. We went through them piece by piece. Good Lord. And then they're going to blame you for defending yourself precisely against the attack that they made. This is how it goes. Hey, you're white. That's bad. Matter of fact, it's unbearable. And you go, whoa, first off, I don't have any control over it, but I don't think it's unbearable. You know, there are actually some things I like about whiteness. What do you mean by that? Is that white pride? You know what? I guess so, if it's in the face of you accusing me of being unbearable for being white. By the way, willing to bet you wouldn't make that accusation, even a far more moderated version. I'd be willing to bet the people who write these wouldn't be willing to issue a very valid, objective critique of any other facet regarding any other race or culture. That tells you where the racism exists. That tells you which group of people is okay to target. And then people like Crockett go, they never faced racism. Here's a good example. Someone says the unbearable whiteness of being. And I go, well, hold on a second. That's racist, a defense against it. I don't think that it's unbearable. Jasmine Crockett goes, You ain't never faced discrimination. And someone goes, did you just do a black lady voice? That's racist. That's more racist? I'm not saying the unbearable blackness, though I could probably apply it to Crockett because it's fake. The unbearable fake ebonics.
And people will say, racism isn't just saying something or feeling a certain way. It's action. It's actionable things. And we've been dealing with it for a long time. I mean, we talk about it, we call it something different. We call it DEI. We call it, affirmative action.
Right.
Well, this college is too white. This college is too Asian.
Right.
Well, this apartment complex is too white. The police department's too white right now. We can't hire another white officer.
Right.
Sorry, Amazon's too white. We got to hire some, Somalis or whoever.
Yeah, well, even they say, well, we're not saying anyone's better. You go, it's too white. That seems racist. No, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying it's lesser than. Well, then what's the problem with it being too white? Well, we need diversity. Well, why? Because it's our greatest strength. Okay, so white people are part of the diversity. No, we need diversity except for white people. So what you are saying is that people who are not white are in some way superior to white. That's why you made the choice, and you qualified it with, it's actually our greatest strength, meaning stronger than having a lot of white people. Now, the world's greatest militaries throughout ever would like to have a word with you, but it's an opinion that you can hold. Just don't try and convince people that they're racist for arguing the point. We really are, at this point, saying the exact same thing.
We're saying the same thing.
We're all saying the same thing.
I said the exact same thing.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, you can click around and watch one of these videos on YouTube, or head on over to Rumble and subscribe, where I am live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Live on Rumble. YouTube is dead. Rumble did it. And on Rumble, you can say